Hey guys.
Hello.
Well, we have an interesting topic for you tonight. It's that of effeminacy, being effeminate. What does it mean to be effeminate?
Well, I think you're just a sensitive guy.
Oh, that could be part of it. I mean, I got a bunch
I
of stuff.
mean,
We got
really,
a whole
what
lot of stuff to go through tonight.
you know what? You just talk with your hands and you kind of do this and limp wrists, walk with a little bit of swish in your step.
Well, do you do the hip sway too? Maybe.
Well, that's the swish.
Is it just that though? Is it just outward behavior?
Well, no, but you have to demonstrate your inward qualities with outward behavior.
Oh, yeah, I guess out of the mouth, the heart speaks, right? Or by your actions.
Sure.
So yeah, we're talking about effeminacy. This is gonna be kind of all. There's a connection. It's gonna be a thorough detailing of what effeminacy is, what to be effeminate is, and we'll go through dictionaries. We'll go through biology. We'll go through other things, red pill, history of the world, oh Christianity, Bible, and all sorts of stuff. So it'll be
Well,
buckle up, guys.
are you saying that effeminacy is not something new?
Oh, no, but we try to avoid it. We try to avoid talking about it, let's put it that way. It's not a popular thing to talk about anymore, and we've redefined it, actually, over the years, so as not to offend anyone.
Okay.
Especially in the sissified church.
Okay, well, I have some comments, but I'm sure they'll come
Alright.
out over time.
Someone's wearing their skinny preacher boy jeans tonight. Okay. Alright,
Oh,
I'm gonna add this to the stage. Here we go. Effeminacy. And I can blow it up here. Zoom in. There you go. So this is the 1828 Noah Webster Dictionary. So before all modernism came in and tried to change everything, the noun from effeminate means the softness, delicacy, and weakness in men, which are characteristic of the female sex, but which in males are deemed a reproach, unmanly delicacy, womanish softness or weakness, voluptuousness, indulgence in unmanly pleasures, lasciviousness. Oh, there's another one. Effeminate. Here we go. It's an adjective. So from Latin. Oh, so they derive from things. Okay. Effeminatus from effeminor, to grow or make womanish from femina, a woman. So definition one, having the qualities of the female sex, soft or delicate to an unmanly degree, tender, womanish, voluptuous. The king, by his voluptuous life and mean marriage, became effeminate and less sensible of honor. Two, womanish, resembling the practice or qualities of the sex as an effeminate peace and effeminate life. Three, womanlike, tender, in a sense, not reproachful. And then also you see the verb transitive, to make womanish, to unman, to weaken, as to effeminate children, effeminate verb intransitive, to grow womanish or weak, to melt into weakness. So like in slothful peace, courage will effeminate. So
well,
soft, weak, womanlike. That pretty much sums it up.
Nick, aren't aren't we supposed to get in? Isn't men supposed to get in touch with their feminine side? It's all over
Well,
modern psychology. You
oh
know,
yeah. But what happens when men get in touch with their feminine side? Do you
well,
think
then
women
women
really
get in
like
touch.
that?
Yeah, but women get in touch with their masculine side.
Oh, you mean they become a feminist or
Well, yeah, the boss babe. He's in
oh,
touch
so
with
an
her
inadequate
masculine
man.
side.
Oh, so she becomes an inadequate man.
Yeah, I mean, they both come into balance. They're both on their balance of their feminist or feminine side and masculine side,
Oh,
because
wow.
men
What
and
a
women are the same, so they need to come into balance, and then the world has harmony.
oh, so we need to level the sexes, right? And make them androgynous. Women become more manly and men become more womanly. Androgyny.
Well, yeah, that's a message that's
You
pushed on us.
yeah, the feminist equalism is androgyny. Mm.
Yeah.
So to be effeminate for a man is actually kind of to be androgynous, heading towards androgyny.
So
If it was a
the effeminate man, actually the superior man, because he's in touch with his feminine side. And he's that
yeah, cool.
nice guy. He's that sensitive guy that women say they want. So
Oh,
what's the
we'll get to
problem
that.
here?
Well, I'll tell you the problem. I'm going to get rid of this one. Uh-oh. Guess what? The red pill describes the problem.
Okay,
The attack on masculinity and resulting effeminate man. Do you want to read it?
sure.
All right.
This is by Rollo Tomasi from his book, The Rational Male. Masculinity has been redefined by people, men and women, who have no concept of what its original definition was. The behaviors and characteristics that constitute what is uniquely masculine aren't being challenged. They've been redefined to fit the purpose of an agenda. As recently as 50 years ago, there has been a concerted effort to demasculinize society, not only in the mass media, but down to how we educate and condition our youth to assume masculine and feminine roles. What is being challenged is the predisposition of the mates in predominantly Western culture to even consider what masculinity is. A rugged, stoic, heroic definition of masculinity is losing ground. But is that a good thing? The equalist certainly believes so. When men become feminized, are we leveling any playing fields, or are we progressing towards androgyny and homogenization of gender?
Well, that's kind of what we talked about, right? Oh man, that's a red pill talking point, huh? Oh, so the red pill talks about the problem of emasculating men, of effeminism, demasculinization. And it gives them a short history, and it's actually kind of arriving at this androgyny. What he also says in positive masculinity, to be a man today is to be poisoned by testosterone. Masculinity is a bad word for men, while women make it something they dallingly believe makes them greater. For men, this social order would have us believe that masculinity is something to be avoided or something that can be defined in feminized ambiguity. Western culture has never had a greater need for risk takers and emboldened men who instinctively understand their masculine nature. Man bad, testosterone bad. He also says we're told that we're poisoned by our testosterone, controlled from youth to repress that in school to the point where teachers expect boys to act out, so we drug them. Oh, haven't you ever experienced that before? Have you seen that happen? Oh, they're acting out. Oh, they're hyperactive. Oh, they
Can't sit still.
no. Let's go put them on these medications, right?
Right. Well, you know, on a superficial level, testosterone is scary.
Yeah.
Uh, that is what makes a man capable of violence.
Hmm.
And, a man who's capable of violence is scary. He's not safe.
No, he's not.
So women kind of think, well, I don't want a scary man. I want a safe man. Okay. But the problem is he's not
Uh-huh.
attracted to a safe man.
She's not. No. No, she'll say that, but the reality is different from what you say. Because in the RP space, we rightly understand that women will say something but act contrary to what they're saying. So study their behavior. Yeah, listen, but know that what they're saying doesn't always add up to what they actually do in reality.
Okay, I have a theory on this, and I told you before. Women are not actually lying when they say they want a nice man. They're true. That's true. They want that masculine man full of testosterone to be nice to them.
Hmm.
So remember,
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
80% of the men they don't even see or recognize as existing. Only 20%. So of that 20%, okay, and there's maybe 4 or 5% that they really want. Those are the
Right.
really masculine guys. Those are the guy when she says she wants a nice man. She wants the man she's attracted to with all these masculine traits and the capacity for violence and aloofness and stoic and all that. He wants that guy to be nice and sensitive. So
Hmm.
that other 80% hear this message. Oh, he wants a sensitive man, a nice guy. Well, I can do that. No, no, she does. It's not talking about you.
Yeah. Man, so we've talked about Rollo Tomasi's books here. I recommend you guys get them and read them. But also, we're going to talk here about R.P. Thor's book. He talks about the problem that we see in his book, A Dominant Masculine Presence. He's a good guy. He says men's natural masculine behaviors have been suppressed by popular culture, combined with feminist ideals that have been integrated with legal systems and supported by national and local governments over the last decades in Western culture. Everyone can see it. This has become popular everywhere to shun and shame masculinity and masculine behaviors. Yet, to this day, a great many women will tell you that far too many men have become weak and useless sissies. That is what we call the sissification or pussification of the Western man. Oh, didn't we just kind of talk about that? I'll say, oh, they want the nice guy. Oh, but then they complain that they're not masculine.
Yeah, well, there's no attraction.
No. Sounds like a little contradiction there. Oh, when he
Well,
talks about
okay,
effeminate.
I explained why it's not a contradiction. Okay, what women usually when they say something, you know, they're telling the truth a lot more than men imagine. It's just their basis, their assumptions, which they don't even consciously realize, just are not communicated. So if you take it superficially, you're going to draw the wrong conclusion based on what she said. And she cannot explain her assumptions because her assumptions are so basic that it's assumed. Well, I mean, that's what an assumption is. It's something assumed, and not
Well, they're
everybody
also
can explain what's assumed.
well, they want the nice guy, the kind of feminized man of what feminism promotes, but then they're mad that they're not masculine. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't see the little yeah, you want a kind man, that's fine. But they but they're neutering them by their system and then still expecting masculine men because that's their nature. Oh, anyways, he talks about effeminacy. He says, "Oh, didn't we kind of talk about this? Yeah, do not sway your hips and torso side to side. This is a clear mark of an effeminate man conditioned to act feminine." He says, "You should be aware of your hands and arms. Under no circumstances should you have limp wrists. It is exceptionally effeminate and will instantly suggest to others that you are a submissive man." So RP Thor, he's Red Pill Thor, or I'm guessing that's what the RP stands for. I never asked him, but um, he actually, these guys, they're not all Christians, but they give helpful information that a lot of society wants to ignore. And he also gives other examples, but he speaks to effeminacy, how instead he tells men how to have a dominant masculine presence.
I mean,
So the problem So the red pill talks about the problem. They kind of say what to avoid and what to do.
well, theoretically, Christianity includes all truth.
Oh yeah.
Theoretically, because that doesn't mean they talk about it. It
Oh
doesn't
no. No.
mean some churches aren't effeminate and they downplay it. Doesn't mean every place you go, they're going to tell you the truth. But okay, there's no certainties out there. But Christianity does not say that non-Christians cannot have truth in certain areas.
Mhm.
Maybe they don't have the fullness of truth, but maybe they talk about truths that are not really talked about within Christianity at in a certain time.
Yeah.
And
So
okay, here's an observation. I think I heard this from a priest. I forget. It was a wise priest. When the church rejects call it any truth of human nature, it shows up elsewhere. It shows up on the non-Christian side. Okay, uh, when things go too far, too nice on the Christian side, that human nature desire to experience
mhm.
that, which is, you know, practically forbidden from within the church, then becomes expressed outside the church. And then people gravitate towards that.
So it's kind of, in First Corinthians it talks about the shame. Like even these people don't even they think this is terrible. I think it was like sleeping with one's mother-in-law or something like that. It's like, and you tolerating this in the church? Or you go to the Old Testament. It's like, no, you're supposed to be a light to the nations. You're supposed to be holy, right? Judah is supposed to be holy. Israel's supposed to be holy, and yet they're worse than the nations around them.
Well, that happens. You could even say it's happening now.
Yeah, there's some of that. So yeah, what's interesting is the red pill does good. It points out truth and it addresses the actual problem. Does it get everything right? I don't think so, but hey, they're addressing something that the church is neglecting. That's the part of the light of nature. So you could be a doctor and study medicine. You don't necessarily have to be a Christian doctor, though, but you can still study medicine. All
Yeah.
right, so we're gonna and talking about medical stuff. This is not medical advice, but you know this is quite interesting, an interesting aspect that the church doesn't want to talk about either. There we go. A natural factor of effeminacy. Low T, low testosterone. So again, this is in no way advice, and it's just conclusions from medical professionals that have been read, and it's research and observations. So you can still demonstrate, a person can still demonstrate effeminate characteristics or traits while still having the optimal levels of testosterone. It's not necessarily a one-to-one, but usually weaker, softer, more emotional and moody traits are experienced. That's, effeminate behavior or characteristics when one has lower testosterone. And the red pill talks about testosterone. You want to
Sure.
read that?
Testosterone is what makes us a man. Why a healthy male has 3 times the upper body strength as a female. It's what makes us aggressive and rise to life's challenges. Unplugged Alpha. That's Rich Cooper.
Right.
Testosterone doesn't just fuel your sex drive, it also governs many functions within your body. So, increasing it is vital to your own physical, mental, and emotional well being. Again, Unplugged Alpha.
Yeah, and there's
Okay.
another guy, another guy that says you can't talks about the waters turning the frogs gay, but
Well, I think there is some truth to that.
yeah, right.
Okay. We know from science that, remember all the talk about plastics? And if you
Yeah,
get a water bottle,
everybody has plastics now.
yeah, but remember one of the selling points of certain water bottles was BPA free?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, BPA is leaches from certain plastics into water, and it's an estrogenic compound.
Okay.
So that's why you don't want it. And certain steel tin can liners, they actually contain BPA as well, or did at one point. And then there have been discussions about all women on hormonal contraception.
And where does it go?
Down the toilet.
Oh, public water supply.
Well, that's a public waste. And then it
Yeah, but
goes into, okay, it's treated and it goes into the river. And then it flows downstream. And the next city downstream is pulling water out of the river, purifying it. Okay, it's diluted. Yeah, I understand that this has been done for centuries. It's just the way the world works. But they purify it. And that's your drinking water. But they do not filter out or remove any hormones.
wow.
So the estrogen that goes into the environment is is probably slowly broken down in the oceans and whatnot, but it tends to accumulate, and yeah, it's in the water supply. Certainly, it is.
Hmm.
Now, some people have said, "Well, there's no problem with that." Others say there's a big problem with that. I don't know. No one has bothered to do studies. We know that the testosterone levels of men now are way lower than our grandfathers. And
Yeah,
we know the testosterone levels are continuing to decline.
right.
And no one has ever done a study to actually figure out why. It's all speculation. I mean, there's some assumptions. Could it be the estrogen in the water? Yeah. Could it be the use of a lot of plastic food containers? Yeah. Could it be all the chemicals that we use, um, almost daily, or industrial chemicals? Yeah. Could it be something else? Oh, sure. We don't
Could it be
know.
diet? Could it be diet? Huh? Could it be
Well,
exercise?
diet
Could it
has
be
an impact on that too. Could it be the use of seed oils
huh?
like corn oil or um, canola?
Hmm.
Canola oil is actually some of the nastiest stuff imaginable. It comes from a it's grown, up north, even in southern Canada, Winnipeg or Alberta area. It used to have a different name for it. Okay, grape, but not the real grape.
Okay.
Grape seed oil, but okay, there is such a thing as grape seed oil. This is not that one. But,
Oh,
no one was going to buy that one. So they renamed it to canola. That actually is you can't you it's not fit for human consumption until it's chemically processed. And so it's basically an unnatural food.
yeah. She says
Traditionally,
she cook with butter or olive oil instead. Huh?
butter, olive oil, and surprisingly, lard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I remember reading something about Mexicans never used to get skin cancer, and they s- they were encouraged to switch from use of lard in to cook their tacos or burritos or whatever, to use of corn oil, polyunsaturated oil that was supposedly healthier. Well, maybe it wasn't. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical researcher. I don't know. Just passing along what certain people speculated. So,
Well,
our
it,
environment could have an impact on testosterone. Uh, the prolific use of hormonal contraception in women actually could have a big impact on men.
oh yeah, we're not. A lot of children are not breastfed. That might be part of the thing, and if the woman, whatever medications or birth control, yeah, it could affect things. But R.P. Thor writes, yeah, in his book, A Dominant Masculine Presence, gives us stats. Men's total serum testosterone levels have fallen 45% in the last 50 years in North America and Europe. So, yeah, they've fallen significantly. And that's in 50 years. I think it's over 100 years, probably dropped even more, but I don't know if they have studies for that. They might. Um, so they're not only is the system messed up, right? They're describing the problem, trying to make us androgynous, trying to say, oh, you don't need to have these traits. You need to have these womanly traits. You need to be, oh, kind of tender, soft, and nice. But meanwhile, there's low testosterone as well.
Well, you're kind of making a link between low testosterone and its impact on male behavior.
Well, it's a double whammy,
Tends
nature and nurture.
Okay, it tends to make low testosterone. There's a correlation with effeminate men. Actually, with low testosterone or men who can't think clearly, or let's put it this way, men who have had low testosterone and then address the issue and either change their lifestyle to increase their testosterone or go on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, report a, uh, increase in their mental uh, thinking capability. So yeah, it's kind of that magic thing. It's not just that sex hormone.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's also yeah. So Rich Cooper also says, yeah, it's been a dramatic decline. He talks about estrogens in food, toiletries, drinks, and beers are being consumed in record numbers. So, and it does have to do with but low T can also affect, yeah, it's not just sexual, but it does affect that factor as well. So Rollo says he does talking about the sweaty t-shirt study. I think he's had this in multiple different books. So I think I got this one from the first book, The Rational Male. He says about the sweaty t-shirt studies. In the same sweat t-shirt studies, the perspiration of men with higher testosterone levels were deemed more sexually viable or arousing by women than men with lower T levels, and particularly so for women in the proliferative phase of their menstrual cycles.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Um, most people, especially guys, don't realize this. A woman's sense of smell is, I don't know, somewhere around 1,000 times more acute than a man's sense of smell.
Hmm.
I mean, she gets a lot of cues from that. Okay, maybe God designed her that way, but okay, I'll believe that. But from an evolutionary psychology standpoint, women's role was always cooking the food and feeding her children. So she developed the ability, or God created her with the ability, to smell food to determine if it was bad and not to feed it to her children. That makes sense to me. It's a useful skill.
Yeah,
So, but women are the, we've all heard of pheromones. In
right.
women's attraction to a man is strongly based on his scent. Okay, it's an unconscious decision in her. But yeah, it's there.
Yeah, and he also talks about staying away from, corn, because it gives away your masculine energy. So that could impact also your relations with women. They might see you not so much as masculine, but more kind of on that beta, if not effeminate side, kind of the weaker man side as well. So yeah, testosterone is really important.
Hey, going
And
back to beer, I got a little bit of trivia here too.
okay,
Beer, fermented beverage, has been used for thousands of years. But the beer we drink today is different. And I think it all started in, well, kind of came to standardization in Germany by their beer purity law, the Reinheitsgebot. I'm saying it, probably butchering that. But that was like 1560 or something. And that standardized what goes into beer, including hops, not the alcohol. Well, it's not
it's like their beer
predominantly
purity laws, right? They have like these German beer purity laws. Is that
right.
what okay.
But that's what standardized the use of hops in beer. And
Huh.
hops is the worst component. Yeah, probably the
Really?
alcohol might do it, but it's the hops.
Huh.
And they used to make beer without hops.
Yeah, I actually did a project in undergrad on ancient technology, and I had to brew ancient beer, and most of them did not have hops. No. So that's interesting. Okay. So hops in beer, you're saying, is what perhaps might be bringing the kind of the estrogen and bringing down the testosterone levels.
Well, it might be a contributing factor. Let's just
Okay.
leave it at that.
All right. So yeah, not only, is the nature and nurture a problem, but behavior. What is effeminate behavior? Oh, some of the RP or RP adjacent guys. I think it's Robert Glover. He has a great book. I recommend you guys read it. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And what does he talk about, Steve?
Men basically trying to be the nice guy like they were told to be, but it's trying to earn love. It's a manipulative type of behavior. So let's go
Yeah.
into it here. I'll read this. A
All right.
common life script from his book. They all believe that if they are good and do everything right, they will be loved, get their needs met, and have a problem free life. This attempt to be good typically involves trying to eliminate or hide certain things about themselves, their mistakes, needs, emotions, and become what they believe others want them to be: generous, helpful, peaceful, etc. I called these men nice guys. So I want to talk about this a little bit.
All right.
Oh, we've all heard the term covert contract.
Yeah, he talks about that in the book. I don't know if I mentioned that in my slides, but yeah, we can talk
Okay.
about proof contracts. Let's do that.
Well, there's this deep belief that if they knew who I really was, they wouldn't love me. Therefore,
Oh,
I have to hide my real self and be this nice guy. And if I do all these things, then they'll love me and I'll get my needs met. That's the covert contract. But it's based on a mask. You're pretending to be someone you're not. Because
hmm.
why do you do that? Because you're insecure about who you actually are. Okay. And he says, mistakes, needs, emotions. Hey, let me put another one in there: your sexual desires. Oh no, not me. I don't have any of those pervy, kinky things going on with me. No, no, no. Okay, well,
Liar. I think girls know that. Come on.
okay, so yeah. Uh, now this is kind of an aside. Okay, we are talking about men tonight. Women
Right.
do similar things for somewhat similar reasons, but it's called something else. It's not called the nice guy syndrome. I, you know, we will probably do a show on that. Um, we're
IPA?
in. Well, no, no, it'll
Okay.
be different than that. That'll
Okay.
be part
Okay.
of it. But men try to project themselves as being nice in order to be loved. Women try to project themselves as being pure in order to
Mhm.
be loved. So that's a whole stream in itself.
Oh, it's kind of like they're picking up on certain trad wife behavior and other sorts of stuff. Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
you're automatically seeing some
Yeah.
of the implications. And could we do a full stream on that one, Nick?
Oh, yeah. That'd be a fun one to do. So yeah, they have these covert contracts where they think if I do this, I'm going to get something in return. So this niceness, it's manipulative. It's insecurity. It shows inner insecurity, lack of confidence. It's manipulative. And they seem like they're a really nice, kind guy. But then they become Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, correct?
They can.
Yeah.
When they lose control like that, and then, okay, Dave, my niceness isn't working. You're not recognizing me. I feel entitled to this. I'm pissed off. And you can get those nice guys can be very volatile.
Mhm.
Can be. It takes a while to get them to that level. It doesn't mean they're dangerous. It just means that, yeah, they can only take so much of it. And then they they may withdraw. They may get petty and vindictive. Uh, yeah, women kind of do the same behaviors for different reasons or similar reasons. Yeah, it's basically it's people are not being honest. First of all, they're not really being honest with themselves. Then they're not being honest with the people around them.
It's a frustrating way to live.
Oh, love is a strong motivator.
That's true.
Everyone, both men and women, want to be loved. If you don't think you can be loved for who you are, well, maybe I can pretend to be someone else in order to receive
Oh.
love.
So it's like a giant mask to gain love, but they have no self-identity.
Yeah, well, the problem is if you get love while you're wearing your mask, it's fake love.
Yeah.
It's not love for your real self, it's love for your fake self. And ultimately, that is not satisfying.
No. Let's go through some of these characteristics. Nice guys are givers. Okay. But I would say with strings attached. Nice guys fix and caretake. Okay. That can be okay, but probably strings attached. Nice guys seek approval from others. Yeah, they need that. They avoid conflict. That's a massive effeminate trait. Not that, some battles you want to avoid. They're not necessary. They're insignificant, but you avoid conflict, period, as a nice guy. You don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. So you lack the courage actually to stand up for who you are, and then you try to hide whatever you did wrong. Like number 5, nice guys believe they must hide their perceived flaws and mistakes. They seek the right way to do things, but well, they don't really do things. They repress their feelings. They're afraid to be who they are because they won't get the love. It's this insecurity. They're insecure. And bingo, problem number 8. These guys are probably could have been raised by single moms, right? Did not have a strong masculine presence and have lots of male friends. It says, 'cause number 8 says nice guys are often more comfortable relating to women than to men.
Well, that's not just single mothers. It comes from a family, could be a lot of intact families where the woman wears the pants.
Yep.
She's making the decisions. And okay, sorry guys, if your father was a nice guy, you've been trained to be a nice guy. You need to really do some soul searching and break free of that. And you know what? That's every man. It's me, definitely. I was seeking approval. If I'm nice enough, things will work out. Well, they didn't work out in most cases.
Well, a lot of guys actually there's the extreme nice guy, then most guys who have not encountered this concept, they'll find things in themselves that they still do.
Right. I mean, there's no perfect man out there. I mean, Guys, every one of you has to actually look at your own behavior from an impartial standpoint. You know your faults. You might as well accept them and think about them. See what you want to do differently. But that's going to involve some pain and some risk, some honesty. For instance, here's the easiest thing to do. All us guys screw up at work from time to time. Oh, we screw up at home with our wives from time to time too. But I'm not saying no, don't really be acknowledge your mistakes there. She will remember and she will use it against you. So don't start there. But in your job, you screwed up, just your boss says, something messed up. You just raise your hand or whatever and say, you know what? That was me. I made a mistake. I overlooked that.
Won't happen again.
Sorry about that. I'm going to try not to make it happen again.
Right.
Once you stand up and acknowledge that to a man, he's not really going to lay into you. You kind of
Usually.
took the wind out of his sails. Yeah, unless he's a total narcissist. He might vent a little bit. But you know what? Assuming it's not a catastrophic thing. Okay, great. I can trust you more because you acknowledged your mistake. Okay. And every man knows that everybody makes mistakes from time to time.
Oh yeah, I do. Yep. So take ownership of yourself and
Yeah.
don't be afraid because that's avoiding conflict and you're hiding your flaws. You are who you are, own your crap, move forward. Nice guys also have a difficulty making their needs a priority. Man, when I was married, this was a big problem. I made my kids, my ex-wife, everyone else was my priority, and I came last. My health suffered. I didn't get much sleep. I didn't dress well. I got fat. I didn't exercise. I didn't take care of myself because I thought I was being sacrificial. I
Yeah.
was being loving. What you end up doing is actually destroying yourself, and the people around you actually will not respect you after a time.
Right.
No, you're a human being. You need to eat. You need to dress decent. You need to take care of your health. And
You
you need
know,
to have some activities and hobbies.
what's the single most important word that men need to tell their wives?
No?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
No.
No. How many men cannot tell their wives no?
I was one for a long time. Then the marriage really started going disintegrating when I started saying no. You're past the point of no return.
Okay. That's because your
Uh,
marriage that's because your marriage was like concrete.
what's that?
It was all mixed up and permanently set.
Yeah,
So, guys, okay, here's another bit of advice. You got to get the dynamics right in the
for sure.
very beginning, at the foundation.
The structure, you
Because
have to, yeah.
once it goes off to try and correct it, okay, I've never seen it happen. I have never seen someone get, where the woman has more power and has more control, and the guy is that nice guy and, effeminate or whatever, to switch it to the hierarchy with the man in charge and the woman being obedient to him, and man being sacrificial in the right way, actually
That's
making the
correct.
decision, and masculine leadership. Once, if you started out wrong, I've never seen a case where you can um, turn your relationship back to the way God ordained it to be. Have you, Nick? Have you ever seen somebody do that?
Mm, yeah, it's extremely rare. Leopard generally doesn't change its spots, right? Leopard doesn't change its spots, so don't expect that to happen.
Oh, I know how it happened. They just prayed really, really, really hard and sincerely, and then it changed, right, Nick?
I mean, that was probably going on, but that was not the reason why it changed.
Okay.
Yeah,
That makes my point. I'm not
yeah.
dismissing the power of prayer, but prayer is not a magic pill that you can just pray hard enough and it's going to happen. It doesn't work that way.
And what's point number 10? What do we call that in the red pill? Nice guys often make their partner their emotional center. What's the term we use for that?
Oh man, you're going to make me say it.
Yeah,
He's becomes her emotional tampon.
or pedestalization.
Okay. Is that the one you meant?
Yeah, their
Oh yeah,
emotional center. Yeah,
pedestalization. But yeah, he's also her emotional tampon. He takes
that's true.
whatever he absorbs whatever emotions. It's thick. But yeah, she can do no wrong. He puts her on a pedestal, and if she's wrong, he will take the blame for it. Because you know what? He doesn't want to upset her. Because if he upsets her, he may not get sex. He has all the
Mm.
power over sex. So if I'm nice enough to her, maybe I can get a little. Hmm.
Hey,
How's
do that
that?
little chore play.
How's that?
Covert
How's that?
contract to chore play.
Okay.
Just do the dishes a little bit, sweep up the kitchen, vacuum.
Okay.
Oh,
I tried all that shit in my first marriage. I will say it doesn't work.
no. It might work for like a week, but then afterwards they know exactly what you're trying to do and they're disgusted.
So yeah, don't. Okay, and then you move into a insanity mode. Well, which is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
But the
Maybe,
church told me to do that.
maybe if I just try harder, be more of a nice guy, and you know what?
Oh.
If I can get other people to tell her what a nice guy I am, and uh, yeah, I just have to do it harder and more often and more consistent and hide that, you know, my icky or the unflattering side of myself. If I hide that and I become more nice, then I can get sex. How's that work, Nick?
Massive covert contract. And they smell it from a mile away. That does not get them wet in the pants.
No.
It dries them up.
Okay, now, hey guys, you all know Nick is smarter than me.
I don't know about that.
Oh, there's proof, Nick,
Why is that?
because you're still in your 30s and you know this shit. I didn't
Oh,
start to learn this stuff until I was in my 40s. So obviously you're smarter than me.
or I just got totally screwed over faster than the red pill is not always something you take down the mouth. It's sometimes a suppository. You want them to swallow it, yes, but sometimes men take it most, I think, end up taking it as a suppository. Life happens, and you learn the hard way, and you try to figure it out. Most men with some intelligence who care about their lives, they wanna figure out why does this work this way that it works? Why did this happen in the past? And they think, "Okay, well, what can I do in the future to improve myself to not go through this crazy bull crap ever again?"
And why don't they learn it until it becomes a suppository?
Well, because the society, the churches, they've sold them a bunch of crap and lies.
Oh, yeah. And they have to believe those crap and lies and not challenge them. And the red pill talks about those crap and lies and comes up with descriptors of what reality is.
Oh,
So the problem that in accepting this is people have a problem with the descriptors because it goes against what they've been told to believe and what
right.
they've accepted as part of their reality. They have to go back and basically tear down a portion of their reality, which is a really scary thing to do. That's why the descriptors are the problem because they're integral to my sense of reality.
Well, sometimes reality ain't pretty,
Oh yeah. So
but
uh, traits of nice guys. Nice guys are dishonest. Nice guys are secretive. Nice guys are compartmentalized. Oh, compartmentalized. Those fine Christian men, good family men, do they have a secret porn habit? That's in a
yeah, they
different
do.
compartment.
Yeah, we've had a couple shows on that. Yeah, they do.
Okay. Nice guys are manipulative. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Remember we
yeah.
got covert contracts. Nice guys are controlling. Well, they're trying to control themselves and control other people's
Mhm.
perception of themselves by their behavior.
And
Nice guys,
not to be confused with being a dominant man, right? Dominant man who leads and rules, yes, but you don't have to force everything to get your way.
no, it's the difference. Okay, you put that ing on the end, changes the meaning.
True.
Okay, okay, you have a dominant man or a domineering man.
Right. It's
Okay,
different.
a man in control versus a controlling man. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, so nice guys give to get. Yeah, covert
Covert
contract.
contracts.
Nice guys are passive aggressive. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna get even in a way that you're not really gonna recognize. And I'll just be petty about it. Nice guys are full of rage.
But I thought they were
Yes,
nice.
well, they are. That's the facade. But underneath, they feel
Oh.
this rage that they're not getting sex. They're not being treated nice.
Well,
All
there's a
this
difference between rage and anger, you know?
rage,
Is uncontrolled anger.
uncontrolled emotion. Yeah,
Yeah.
anger. You can have a righteous anger about injustice, but it's more intellectual. It's a thought, not an emotion. Are you angry about how you've been treated in the family court system?
Yeah.
Are you in a rage about it?
No.
Okay, that illustrates my point.
Nice guys are also addictive, so they get addicted to all sorts of things to cope, okay? Uh, nice guys have difficulty setting boundaries. Oh, they don't stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
That's where they get the passive aggressive being full of rage. They don't express their anger, and so they bottle it up, and it comes out in really weird and times, and it's like they can be fine one moment and completely change in a rage at the next because they don't set boundaries. They don't stand up for themselves, and they're passive aggressive. So, um, nice guys are frequently isolated. Well, again, yeah, they don't. I guess they don't know how to make friends.
Well, I want to talk about this one. Nice guys don't really understand male banter. And if you're a nice guy, you're not really comfortable with all the put downs that men use amongst each other. And when you get that masculine presence, you a guy you like, or just to test him, you'll just give him a zinger, a put down, and then you see how he reacts. If he laughs and he comes back with one against you, okay, we're good. And then it's a game, and it's all good natured, but he gets it. And you figure out he's a nice guy, or he's a decent guy, he's trustworthy. But there's a lot of men, and we've all done it. Well, we've either been that guy who's not comfortable with that male banter, or we're the guy who has learned to be comfortable with that and thrown out a zinger at some other guy, and he gets all butthurt about it.
All this happens in the red pill space. It's kind of interesting with all the stupid drama they have. Oh, are some of them secretly nice guys? Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah, they are, because every man, well, most every man, 90% of men have some nice guy traits that they need to identify within themselves and work on.
Hey, humor is a great thing for men. You don't have to be so freaking serious. Yeah, you need to be serious, but you also need to just be able to cut it up a little bit, have a little fun, because it actually builds each other up. It builds your resilience. It builds your emotional resilience, and oh, you're not swayed by stupid crap. Oh yeah, frequently isolated. Also, they don't have a band of brothers. So this is actually a larger problem in society in general. They don't have groups of male friends, and they're frequently by themselves playing video games. Well, nothing wrong with video games, okay, but they don't have a band of men. They don't do difficult things together, and so they end up being these isolated men who don't know how to interact with other men. And you can have this problem in the homeschool movement as well. If they're home all day with a bunch of women, yeah, they might learn a good Christian curriculum, but they end up being a squish, effeminate, nice guy who doesn't know how to interact with other men.
Yep. Nice guys are often attracted to people and situations that need fixing. Oh, yeah. You're always Mr. Fix It. And if you can come in and fix people's problems, they will like you. You know what? Even more so, if you can identify the problem before they even know their problem that needs to be fixed, tell them what the problem is, and then offer a solution. Oh, you'll be loved for that, right, Nick?
Guys might appreciate that. Girls,
No,
not so much.
guys don't appreciate that. Try talking to a guy. You see his girlfriend, you see how he's being treated. You take him aside and say, yeah, this isn't good. You got to really think about this. Use some red pill content.
Oh,
It
you're trying to red
control
pill your
the
friends? That
situation.
doesn't usually work.
Okay, well, you're trying to introduce them
You
to the
kind of,
truth. You're
yeah.
trying to fix their problem. Doesn't work. Don't fix somebody's problem until they want it fixed. Because you don't get any credit for saving someone before they fall off the cliff. Because usually they don't see the cliff. Let them walk off the cliff and then go down at the bottom and say, well, if he's a guy, here's what a guy would say. You dumb shit. What the hell did you do that for? Okay, that's that masculine thing where you're giving
Yeah.
that back and forth. And you know what? Sounds mean, but there's kind of an understanding that between both of you
Oh.
that yeah, this guy was that dumb shit before. He fell off that cliff. He's been in this situation same as me. And it's true. So yeah, you know, one
I've had it where people try to tell me, and then I'm like, they're like, "God, that dumb shit he did, he did it." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, and you told me to, and I was mad at you." I'm like, "Damn, you're right."
okay. So nice
You know
guys
that,
frequently have problems in intimate relationships. Okay, covert contract. Nice guys
yeah.
have issues with sexuality. Oh yeah. Remember I said, oh, they don't want to say any of those wacky desires they have. Nope,
No, they gotta be
nope. He's
nope.
just he's just one of those nice guys. Wants missionary sex, wants to pray before and after sex. You know, maybe give her a back rub. Um, yeah. Oh, oh, if he watches porn, no, that's compartmentalized. That's over there. You don't get to see that part of me.
So yeah, they have problems because probably there might be some low T, but also they're not assertive, they're not confident, they don't express themselves, they hide things. They try to give out this facade of who they are. And after a while, women can pick up on that. They're not attracted to them. So yeah, they're gonna have issues with sexuality because they probably also have those covert contracts with that sexuality as well.
So, this last one, nice guys are usually only relatively successful. So, is a nice guy a leader of men?
Usually not. I mean, they can usually be competent at work and intelligent, but usually they cannot lead men.
Okay, well, that's why they're relatively successful.
Um,
So, we moved into nice guy syndrome from effeminacy. How does being a nice guy relate to the topic of an effeminate man?
He's weak. He shows cowardliness, um, womanish. So he lacks a sense of honor. He's not strong. He's not straightforward. He's not firm. He doesn't exhibit these masculine traits. Instead, he exhibits some of the manipulative traits that you might see in women.
So, masculinity or masculine traits are kind of on a continuum.
A little bit,
So, a nice guy obviously isn't as masculine as he could be,
right?
but he's probably still more masculine than the effeminate guy.
Being a nice guy, it's on a spectrum. You could be a really an effeminate guy and be a nice guy, or
Okay.
you could be somewhere in between. But the more traits of this nice guy you have, the more you are on that effeminate spectrum. You're not acting like, you know, an ideal man, a man with a dominant masculine presence that women are going to like. That's going to be a leader of men.
So, for a man who identifies some of these traits, things he needs to work on, where should he go for answers? Well, obviously, we've mentioned a few books. No More Mr. Nice Guy, be a good
Right.
start.
There's
Uh,
the rational male. There's the unplugged alpha.
Rational
There's
Man.
There's the dominant masculine presence by R.P. Thor as well.
So, none of these books are Christian, right?
No, no, they're not. They reflect
But
the light of nature.
but you're addressing a problem that is a behavioral problem.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. Once you understand, yes, you also find the truth within Christianity. But
You do.
to sift that truth out of reading your Bible, that's going to be a lot harder. That's my opinion.
Well, yeah. Well, some things the Bible talks about the light of nature, and you're a man who reads the scripture has already interacted with the world around him. He generally should know what a man should be, right? You generally intuitively can recognize that. You pick those up in a normal society, studying men, studying warfare. And usually the teachers, if it's a good, society, may teach some truths that are pretty close to what a man should be. Now, I think the Bible does give the most perfect and complete picture, but you have to know what it talks about a strong man. It talks about a weak man. It talks about a good man, a bad man. It talks about many different things. It talks about sexuality, talks about effeminacy, even.
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you can't learn masculinity from the Bible. Not what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to learn certain things from your father, from
True.
going and working alongside him, from seeing his behavior, seeing how he deals with other men by personal instruction, by modeling. Your father is the model, and you learn at his side. If you don't have that, and you're just going to go to the Bible and learn everything, no, that's not the way it was set up. I mean, Jesus, as a young boy, worked alongside Joseph.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the way it's been set up. So don't
Right.
think that, oh, if I'm missing some of these things, I'm just going to read the Bible more and find it all there. No, you're missing something, a, a body of knowledge that is not this instructional side of things is not specifically in the Bible. Yes, it does talk about these things, but it assumes that you know some of them. So maybe you need to go back to some of these other books of men who have learned, like Dr. Robert Glover. He was a
Hmm.
nice guy and he thought about it and he's talking about himself and he's providing a path for you to learn. That's what a father does. He learned all these lessons. Now he has his body of knowledge, wisdom, and he's passing it down to his son. So that is the mechanism that men need to learn. So, yeah, go to these resources. And
Hmm.
if it's too Christian, I'm thinking they're kind of watering down the message because they're going to include some of this nice guy egalitarianism
A lot of
baloney
times. A lot of
a
times.
lot of times.
Yeah.
You need to learn from masculine men. If a man doesn't have a masculine presence, you probably could read something from a man that does have a masculine presence.
Hmm. Well, it's like we said, like if you're a doctor, right, and you're trying to study medicine, yeah, the Bible does say things about life and the body, and but is the Bible going to be where you study medicine?
No.
Who would you rather go to? The guy who studied, researched and understood the body and the intricacies, and had never read the Bible, or the guy that was a master of the Bible and only studied medicine for a month?
Well, the first guy. But there is an important role for the Bible.
There
The
is.
Bible
I'm not
provides
saying there isn't.
boundaries and morals. And so
Yes.
whatever you learn should conform to those morals. It's
And the
at a,
Bible does say important things about masculinity.
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should be a guideline or a boundary.
Hmm.
For instance, some people advocate in order to be a masculine, high value man, you have to have a lot of experience, sexual experience with women. I disagree.
I disagree as
Now,
well. The Bible
that,
says not to do that.
yeah, okay. So the Bible is important, but you're not going to learn everything from the Bible either.
No, it was never meant to be that. It was never meant to be that. No. But you learn things from nature, like we've talked about. Oh, does the Bible talk about testosterone and how that impacts, a man's makeup?
I don't
Not
think so.
really. No, but it's important, as we've plainly discussed. So there's stuff you can find in nature, but also in history. So this effeminacy didn't just occur, not just the red pills, not just the Bible, which we'll talk about here soon, but you find this in history. So the light of nature regarding effeminacy in history. So regarding King Cyrus and the Lydians, he says, by perverting, this is regarding them, he says, by perverting the education of the Lydians, to forbid the Lydians the use of arms and oblige them to be educated in the most debauched and effeminate manner. And the Lydians soon became the most infamous and abandoned people in the world. So, they knew stuff about effeminacy back then to make men weak and loose, abandoned to their senses.
So, what would happen if we, in our modern world, if we sent all our sons to public school and put all almost exclusively women in charge?
Oh, that
That never
might
mind.
be
That's
kind of
just
soft.
speculation.
Well, that might be kind of soft. I mean, not that kind of is what happened to me, but I was glad I had like male, wrestling and football coaches, and yeah, that was nice. But I'm sure it's changed since I was there. Who knows? But yeah, education's important. And you see effeminacy in the ancient world. So another book, Zach Garrison's book. It's actually a good Christian book on masculinity. I actually know the guy. Went to seminary with him. It's called Masculine Christianity. He'll go. I'll bring him up when we talk about effeminacy in the Bible. And he mentions the Greek word for effeminate, malakos, being used to refer to softer, effeminate behaving persons. He mentions Herodotus, um, a Greek historian, talks about soft lands bring soft men. And Thucydides talks about the history of the Peloponnesian War, Greek history. He warns a man not to let himself be shamed down for fear of being should be thought a coward. And the word coward there is actually the Greek word for effeminate. So, so you can see this effeminacy in the ancient world. There's another one. This is Aristotle. He says, now the man who's defective in respect of resistance to the things which most men resist and resist successfully is soft and effeminate. For effeminacy, too, is a kind of softness. Such a man trails his cloak to avoid the pain of lifting it, and plays the invalid without thinking himself wretched, though the man he imitates is a wretched man. The case is similar with regard to continence and incontinence, for if a man is defeated by violent and excessive pleasures or pains, there is nothing wonderful in that. Indeed, we are ready to pardon him if he has resisted, as Theodectes Philoctetes does when bitten by the snake, or Carcinus Cercion in the Alope. I don't know if I'm saying those words right. And as people who try to restrain their laughter burst out in a guffaw, as happened to Xenophantus. But it is surprising if a man is defeated by and cannot resist pleasures or pains which most men can hold out against. When this is not due to heredity or disease, like the softness that is hereditary, like he says with the kings of the Scythians, or that which distinguishes the female sex from the male. So this is Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, Book 7, Chapter 7. So the ancient world talks about effeminacy. It talks about being like a woman, lacking courage, having strength and resistance and self-control. Courage. It's interesting. Who picks up on it? Who talks a lot about Aristotle in the church?
Oh, would that be Thomas Aquinas?
Yeah, he actually picks up Aristotle. I gotta find it right here. I'll find my window, share screen. There we go. I'll go to Unum Sanctum. It should be right there. So this is I get looks like a Catholic website, but he talks about the vice of effeminacy coming from Aristotle. So he says effeminacy actually a sin. He says St. Thomas Aquinas. I'm going to zoom this in so everybody can see it. St. Thomas Aquinas takes it further and says effeminacy is a vice. It is a habitually sinful disposition. Effeminacy in the classical tradition is seen as softness. In Latin, Mollities literally means softness, but in various contexts can also mean irresolution, tenderness, wantonness, voluptuousness, weakness, or pliability. It essentially occurs when the traits traditionally associated with the feminine are found in the man. The sum of these traits in a man constitute the vice of effeminacy, which St. Thomas Aquinas, following Aristotle, says is opposed to the virtue of fortitude. The effeminate man is he who is incapable of manning up and enduring the challenges of life. And he quotes St. Thomas Aquinas, how this is opposed to fortitude or perseverance. He says, so it's his Summa Theologicae. Perseverance is deserving of praise because thereby a man does not forsake a good on account of long endurance of difficulties and toils. And it is directly opposed to this, seemingly, for a man to be ready to forsake a good on account of difficulties which he cannot endure. This is what we understand by effeminacy, because a thing is said to be soft if it readily yields to the touch. And you want to read this quote here? Can you read that, Steve?
Yeah. Now a thing is not declared to be soft through yielding to a heavy blow, for walls yield to the battering ram. Wherefore, a man is not said to be effeminate if he yields to heavy blows. Hence, the philosopher says that it is no wonder if a person is overcome by strong and overwhelming pleasures or sorrows, but he is to be pardoned if he struggles against them. Now it is evident that fear of danger is more impelling than the desire of pleasure. Wherefore, Thule says, under the heading, true magnanimity consists of two things. It is inconsistent for one who is not cast down by fear to be defeated by lust, or who has proved himself unbeaten by toil to yield to pleasure. Moreover, pleasure itself is a stronger motive of attraction than sorrow, for the lack of pleasure is a motive of withdrawal, since lack of pleasure is a pure privation. Wherefore, according to the philosopher, properly speaking, an effeminate man is one who withdraws from good on account of sorrow caused by lack of pleasure, yielding, as it were, to a weak motion.
So not a self-controlled man, a man controlled by pleasure, pliable and weak. He
You
says
know,
now, huh?
I want to make a little point. You talked about virtue.
Yes, fortitude.
Okay, but VIR,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
male.
man. Yeah.
Okay, that's the traits of a man. So in the Bible, kind of ironic when we're looking for a virtuous woman. We're looking for a woman with certain traits, good traits of men. Virtue is predominantly male. Like, okay, a similar word is a virile, VIRILE. A virile man is potent, sexually potent. Okay, VIR is a masculine thing. So look at when someone says virtue, first, a man should have virtue. Do not think virtues are predominantly a female trait.
Okay. So are you saying women are bad?
No,
No? Okay, good.
no, it's just that some of this uh, being stoic uh, and being willing to accept pain and have fortitude.
Okay.
Fortitude is more a trait of men than of women.
Right.
So, and fortitude is one of the seven cardinal virtues. What? Faith, hope, charity, fortitude, temperance, prudence. I can only get six of them. I always miss one. There's a different one all the time.
It's not
Did I
gravitas
say?
or anything like that,
Did I
is it?
say temperance?
I don't recall. I don't know.
Okay,
You try to
temperance,
name.
fortitude. Um, Never mind. I said them all.
All right. All right.
Wait, it's hard to remember all those guys, but just look up the seven virtues and think about it because they're all important. Prudence,
So,
forbearance. Okay, go ahead.
okay. Well, we see that, Thomas Aquinas picks up on the same concept of effeminacy that was found in Aristotle in the ancient world. And he also relates this to scripture. So he's bringing scripture to bear on these things as well. But he's also drawing from the light of nature. They're not always opposed. Yeah, the light of nature might be opposed where something's twisted by sin. So you just have to take that into account. But not everything's completely twisted. So yeah, there's Aquinas. Now we'll get into some interesting things like the Bible. Where does the Bible talk about effeminacy? I'll go to 1 Corinthians 6, verse 9. So you're going to see here four different translations. Well, one's the original language in Greek, and one's 1 Corinthians 6, verse 9, NASB 1995, the good edition, authorized version, King James, and the ESV. I want to show you something really interesting, though. So it says, I'll read from the King James just because that's the popular one. That's what I like. Now know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Be not deceived. Neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind. You'll notice the word effeminate right here. There's this one, and then there's another word, abusers of themselves of mankind. NASB, abusers themselves of mankind, properly translates it as homosexuals. I think the New King James also translates that as sodomites, which is correct. But it uses the word effeminate as well. Same thing with the King James. Look what
Right.
happens in the ESV. Where's effeminate?
It's just missing. That word must have
Yeah.
meant something. They just skipped over it. But you
No,
can't
no,
skip
they
over it.
combined it. They combined three words essentially. It's two words, but
Yeah,
it's really
not
three. And it's properly denoted in between an ute and an ute in the Greek. But they just say for men who practice homosexuality. They combined effeminate and arsenokoitai. So malakoi and arsenokoitai, malakoi being effeminate and arsenokoitai being a sodomite or homosexual. And arsenokoitai, so you see it's clearly divided, right? Ute, malakoi, adulterers, right? Idolaters, ute, idolater, ute. Oop, I messed that up. All right. I'll go back. There you go. Go down to 6-9. There we go. So it's separated, right? In the
yeah.
Greek as two different words. From arsenokoitai itself is actually a combination of two Greek words in the Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament of arsen and koitai. So it's in the LXX, that's the Greek Septuagint, it's two different words, and they combine it here to be sodomites or abusers of themselves with mankind or homosexual. Again, malakoi is can mean it can mean homosexual. You know, effeminate man could be like the ultimate expression is one who is the passive partner in a homosexual relationship. So it could mean that, but they're forcing the ESV forced the text to mean pure homosexuality without allowing the full range of meaning with malakoi to be expressed. Because malakoi could also mean, you know, cross-dresser. Malakoi could be, you know, a man who purposely wants to act like a female.
Yeah, where do the Skittles people come into this though?
What do you mean? What do you mean? The Skittles people?
Yeah, the Skittles people.
Well, the homosexuality is from arsenokoitai. Malakoi could indicate that, but it also have a full range of meaning. Malakoi could also mean kind of like androgynous, or you know, yeah, Skittles or Transformers, androgyny. That can kind of fit in Malakoi. But in the Greek, so I'm not going to pull up the actual books, but I did make copies of my physical books from my house before I came here to on location. I'm going to talk about what the Greek is on Malakoi real quick. If I can find my, there we go. So like the standard, it's called
I'll
BDAG. The
be back in
standard,
2 minutes, but I'm listening.
okay, so the standard, I'm pulling this from BDAG, the standard entry for Malakoi, or you can also get like the Malakia. You could say it's a similar word: softness, weakness, weakliness, ailment, bodily weakness, inner weakness, faint-heartedness, lack of energy. Then there's malakixomai, which is perfect middle passive third singular. Um, it means to be softened, be made effeminate, to show cowardice. to be in a weakened condition, become weak, discouraged, or sick. And then properly malakos, A and on, which is talking about, which is pertains to the word that we find in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9. I'm on the wrong one. Put the right window up. There you guys go. So you can actually see the word malakoi there. We got too many windows. But malakos is it pertains to being yielding to touch, soft, including clothing. It could be pertains to being passive in a same-sex relationship, effeminate, of catamites, of men and boys who are sodomized by other males in such a relationship. But the Liddell and Scott's, another Greek English lexicon, talks about malakia, which is effeminacy, wanting of patience, weakness. Then there's malakixomai, which means to be softened, made effeminate, to show weakness or cowardice, to be softened or appeased. So there you go. I think I got them all. No, Malakos. There we go. The actual word. He says, to be faint-hearted, effeminate, cowardly, softness. So you see here in the Greek lexical meaning, it has all these associations with this word malakos. And to just purely rip that word out and not see it's actually separated linguistic with the actual Greek word, to separate it out from arsenokoitai, is to actually rob people of an important meeting that the church historically has held, that Thomas Aquinas even talked about. That's also represented in the King James. And it's kind of interesting that that's missing, because what do we have now? We have an egalitarian church that has a bunch of soft, effeminate men that are soft. They do not have courage. They don't know how to lead, and they act like women, and they let women lead them.
Sounds to me like you're saying that being a masculine man and exhibiting historic male traits is a good thing.
Yeah. And they're
Well,
condemning
aren't
acting
we
like a woman.
evolving to be more sensitive?
Oh, so the church is evolving to be an abomination in the sight of God that shall not inherit his kingdom.
Oh,
Ooh,
I didn't
that's
think
a
of that.
problem. Because, isn't that what the text says there? Ooh, that's a hard truth, isn't it? Yeah. What's this? Right here. Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, adulterers, effeminate, or the abusers themselves of mankind. They will not inherit it. So you need to pay
So,
attention. If you're a Christian, pay attention to your text.
so
Reject the
Colonel
ESV.
Buckshot brought up something that men testing men. And then once you pass the test, okay, is that for what's the purpose? To know that before you join the club, that the people in the club know you're worthy? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's for the person joining the club to know that they passed the test because they went through, call it a hazing, the
Hmm.
test. And they proved to themselves that they were worthy.
They have proved to themselves and to others.
So by getting rid of hazing, Yes, but they're two different things. Proving to others for the sake of others, proving to themselves for the sake of themselves. So when you get rid of these tests, call it hazing, because we're all nice now, we can't do that kind of stuff. You're actually depriving the individual of the accomplishment of going through that, facing the pain. You know, obviously, there's a limit to what should be done. But, a test is not necessarily a bad thing.
No. Well, men
And
need that.
maybe,
Men need
maybe that's one of the things that teaches young men that, yes, you do have what it takes and you don't need to be effeminate.
right. Oh, and like Aquinas in the Bible. Oh, and they had rites of passage. Oh man, maybe that's kind of important. Oh, so like we had this whole history, right, of
Yeah.
effeminacy. Oh, Matthew Poole, that's a very common commentary on this. He says, "Yep, no effeminate." He calls it effeminate persons, and don't give themselves up to lasciviousness, a burning, continuing lust. Talks about the Sodoms. John Calvin, effeminate persons. He says, I understand those who they do not openly abandon themselves to impurity, discover nonetheless their unchastity by blandishments of speech, by lightness of gesture and apparel. Oh, haven't we talked about that already? Oh, and other
What's
allurements.
blandishment of speech?
Uh, it could be the way you talk. It could be the words you use, but also the mannerism of how you speak.
Oh, you mean if I always end my sentences on an up note and I'm
Mm,
talking all the time? Do you really like
mm,
me?
huh.
Stuff like that.
Sounds like a child, really.
Yeah, just notice people's manner of speech.
hmm
Up talk, everything is a question. Seeking approval with every statement.
Oh, hmm. Steve, you're gonna get on my nerves tonight. Oh, ooh. Yeah, so you see John Gill talks about it. John Calvin talks about effeminacy in the Bible. He talks about Isaiah 3:12, women ruling over men. They they make them soft and effeminate. He talks about feeble and cowardly, therefore must be the minds of those who obey delicate and effeminate men and permit themselves to be oppressed by them. Nor can it be doubted that God is struck with the spirit of cowardice, those who offer their shoulders. And he talks about Isaiah 19:6, where he talks about Egypt will be like women. He writes, the Egyptians will have nothing that is manly. They'll be struck with such dread that in no respect will they differ from women. Jeremiah, he says, the valiant would not be able to stand when the sword is upon them. They would become so effeminate as to think of nothing but flight. He says they would be without courage, for the Lord would dishearten them by terror. And on Jeremiah 51:30 says they became women, that they were like women as to courage, for no one fared to oppose the conquerors. They all became women as to courage. Talks about frightful women. He talks about in Nahum 3:13, they become about the soldiers turning to women. He says the prophet declares that the hearts of them would all become soft and effeminate when God would proceed to destroy Nineveh. God indeed can leave in men their perverseness so that they may ever run furiously into ruin and not be able with a courageous heart to repel the attacks of the enemies. God enervates men and strips them of all courage, and he gives them over to destruction. We now perceive the prophet's meaning when he says that the people would become women or effeminate in the midst of the city in its very bowels, as if though he had said they would not cease to tremble, even then while they were dwelling in a safe place. Yeah, I remember when it was my first sermons, I was preaching on Nahum 3:3, and I mentioned this, and a lot of people got really offended when I talked about how the text says the men shall become like women. Oh, oh! they got ladies got their panties in a wad, and a lot of men started white knight get upset. They like and
Well, okay, we're talking about certain cities were very effeminate. Okay, in the U.S., do we have certain cities that are more effeminate than others?
oh, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Well, in the U.S., it's pretty much New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, pretty much all
Seattle,
your major cities.
Portland.
Pretty much. Oh yeah, Seattle, Portland,
Okay, what's the most effeminate city in Texas?
Austin. They say keep Austin weird. Well, that's because all the people from Fagifornia came to Austin.
Yeah, you didn't even hesitate with that one.
Hell no. I'm not a nice guy.
Okay, now, for those of you who don't
Oh
know,
man.
what, and I just told Nick this, what potentially is the most effeminate city in the Middle East?
Tel Aviv.
And you know, it's been said, I've heard it said, that Tel Aviv is about 25% homosexual. That's interesting. I mean, I'm not going to present any facts on this. I'm just throwing it out what I've
That's
heard.
some interesting
Now,
things.
now let's move into speculation. If you're going to war with another group of people, an enemy,
Right.
how's that going to go if your soldiers, if you have a high percentage of effeminate men as soldiers? Is that a good thing?
No. You want
Hmm.
courageous men that are strong, but are also able to withstand the pressures of war and don't crumble.
Good. So, you know what? That's enough speculation, but keep that in mind. Okay. Uh, Certain groups are promoting uh, acceptance and essentially effeminate
Yeah.
behavior in men. The certain groups are supporting those, it's generally progressives, um, liberals, because they're changing for they want to get rid of tradition and change it. Well, you know what? A lot of those, there's a high correlation of liberal progressive mindset in Israel. And okay, who do you think is more masculine? Palestinian soldier who lives a hard
Palestinians.
life, or
Palestinians.
the Israeli?
No, Palestinians for
Okay,
sure.
okay. Now,
The
has
technology is the
Israel
difference.
or the Hebrews ever been lost in war in the past?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the outcome of this strife, struggle, whatever, it's not quite a war yet. The outcome is not known. That's all I want to say on that.
Well, also feminine men. I'll end with this. Yeah. And, that also the Geneva Bible gives notes on effeminate rulers and I mean effeminate men, effeminate rulers. But there's an interesting historical note. I'm going to link this back to our earlier streams about the rise of Jezebels. Who enables the rise of Jezebels? I said it right here. Jezebels are enabled by effeminate men, cowards, white knights that should tell them like MacArthur told Beth Moore, "Go home." Anne Hutchinson, who is also rendered Anne Hutchinson or Anne Hutchison, is labeled by Samuel Rutherford as the American Jezebel. No surprise there, as one author writes, Winthrop describes Hutchison, that's her husband, as a man of a very mild temper and weak parts, and wholly guided by his wife. So when there are effeminate men or weak men, it is common that there will be women who hold great sway over them, acting more as men.
Okay.
Somebody has to wear the pants, whether out of sin or necessity. Uh, if you have a feminism has women wear the pants, whether out of sin or sometimes necessity. But yeah. White knights encourage Jezebels, and white knights are actually effeminate nice guys. They are effeminate men.
Right.
And so there's actually some things. So the red pill talks about white knights and effeminacy and betas, but there's a few things, a few honorable mentions I want to mention that are actually fighting for against effeminacy in the church. Some honorable mentions. One guy points out white knights and effeminate men. He interacted with the red pill a little bit. His name is Michael Foster, and the other guy's non-tenant. It's Good to Be a Man. It's a good
Right.
book. Do I agree with everything? No, but he's a Christian man trying to make a difference. It's good to read. Another guy I mentioned is Zachary Garris. He advocates for patriarchy and a hierarchy, and he talks against effeminism. He's trying to help. Another book you should get. There's another guy. Ah, he helped me. He gives some good instructions for raising sons, not to be effeminate men, but to be good Christian men, is Doug Wilson in his book Future Men. And then there's my own book. I'm going to do a little plugging my own. I talk a little bit. I talk a lot about feminism, some bit about Jezebels and effeminacy in The Abomination of the Egalitarian Levelers. And there's some other good guys that I've interacted that are fighting for strong men in the church that aren't simps and aren't white knights. One man's fallen on a lot of persecution, even by my own former denomination, the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, was Michael Spangler. Reach out to him, learn from him. Good, honorable man. Shane Anderson at the Daily Geneva. There's Brian Suve. There's Eric Kahn. There's Dan Burkholder and Joel Webbin, among others. So there's good guys out there. Okay. They can give you some help from a Christian perspective. And they're also drawing from a lot of the same sources that we are talking about here today. Anything you want to say about that, Steve?
No, I think on the Catholic side, Tim Gordon has written a book on masculinity. Now, again, I don't agree with everything he's written, but he recognized the importance of this. So, there's another resource. And I just heard Tim Gordon interviewed Father Chad Ripperger.
Okay.
And if you can watch what Father Ripperger says, I find him one of the best, most solid guys out there. Very, very intellectual, but solid. And I think he's writing a book on masculinity, and I'll be anxious to see that. It just means that you're going to find men in any faith area talking about this. You could, I'm not familiar with who's writing on this in the Islamic world because I'm just not part of that. But I'm sure there are books out there. and this topic is discussed. It's certainly discussed in the Red Pill. It's
Right.
certainly discussed in Christianity. It's important. So, yeah, start there. And I think one of the first books I read was No More Mr. Nice Guy.
A good book.
That was when I first read that, it was kind of challenging because you read it, and, well, kind of talking about me, but surely this isn't really me. I don't quite understand this. And then as you keep reading, okay, then you consume the whole book. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's me. And then you go on with life and you kind of reflect on it and you say, oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
now I understand. So, okay, just reading something and then getting it. No, sorry, that's not going to be enough. You need to expose yourself to it, and it takes time to think. Because remember, you are discarding, rewriting certain truths that you hold that's part of your identity. You cannot just unplug and plug in a new one. Not that easy. You got to challenge yourself. You got to think your way through it. Um, and it will take time.
What are some things that they practically can do now? But they can read the book, they can get the information. Oh, you should maybe lift some weights. That might help your testosterone. Some natural things you can do. Go for a walk. Get to exercise. Hang out with other masculine men. Squats and deadlifts are known to help increase testosterone. Maybe you should change your diet. Get rid of some of these estrogenic things. Maybe just reflect on what you want to consume or apply to yourself that may or may not have things that adversely affect your testosterone. Um, Habits. Are there any habits that you have that don't give you control over yourself, make you soft?
Well, those things are all true. Those are too difficult, though. Okay, where do you start?
You got to start somewhere.
Okay, let's make it a small thing. If you're not doing any of those things, or there's things you know you should be doing, you're not doing them, you lack the self-discipline. Okay, am I accusing you of anything that I'm not guilty of? No, I'm not. The way out is just start practicing self-discipline. You know what? It's kind of like a muscle. Self-discipline can be as easy as, you love donuts. Somebody brings in donuts into work. And there's that apple fritter that, oh, damn, love apple fritters. Okay, make the decision. You know what? I'm going to practice self discipline. I'm not going to eat that. You know what? A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked enough about effeminacy. I think we hit it from a whole bunch of angles, from nature, from red pill, from history, philosophy, what else? Scripture, theology. A lot of sources out there, guys. Don't be effeminate. Easier said than done, but now you have the tools to move on with your life and become a better and more masculine man. Or as RP Thor says, have a dominant masculine presence. Good book. You should get it.
Right. Now I have one recommendation to anybody who's still here. As soon as we're done, go get yourself a tall glass of water because Nick was so damn dry tonight.
Hell yes.
You see, it's kind of an inside joke, but it's giving Nick a little bit of grief, and he just laughs at it because it's kind of true. Uh,
Yeah.
and I enjoy this too. So you know what? I'm just as dry as Nick.
Okay, guys. Apparently, we're going to talk more about this on Saturday with Elena on Elena Bar's Fitness. So you should also like and subscribe to the Resurgence of Sanity, but also Elena Bar's Fitness. That's Plutarch's wife, and I don't think he'll be joining us this Saturday, but he sometimes joins in on Saturdays. And
He'll be available again on Monday.
awesome. So please watch us there on Saturday. I think it's at 9:15 Pacific,
Right.
11:15 Central. All right, guys.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us. Until next time. Later.
Bye.